Greetings, YouTube. A few years ago, my wife wanted to see the movie 28 Days Later. Mostly, I think, because she found the main lead attractive. Yet this was during a period when I was actually quite bothered by the concept of zombie-like movies. But I humored her, we rented it, and I watched it. Firstly, I think I was able to watch it because the basic storyline is that the infected aren't zombies at all. They're humans who have been infected with a disease and have essentially been turned into enraged apes. No real higher brain function. They just kind of kill things. So I watched this film, the opening sequence, and I was just flabbergasted by how incredibly silly the premise of this movie was. Anyone with basic high school biology class under their belt would have known that diseases don't behave the way they were depicted in this movie. I've heard defenders of this film tell me that, well, maybe in the universe this takes place in, this is how diseases work. But if that were true, the Earth would be an ocean with a primordial soup of nothing but bacteria and diseases, because diseases are so incredibly virulent, no life more complex than diseases would have ever have evolved. In the real world, when you get infected with disease, there's an onset time, an incubation period, and then the disease kicks into play, usually in a matter of days, and then runs its course. The worst diseases I've ever heard of have killed victims within about a 12-hour period from the first onset of a symptom. And that's a very powerful disease, not common run-of-the-mill things. Not to mention, you can't really infect people with rage. So the idea that a disease would infect you and then convert you to a full-blown victim in 20 seconds is absurd. So right there, the film failed. But I understand why they did this. I know they want to have a fast zombie movie set in a quote-unquote real world. So I went along with it and kept watching. But it didn't get any better. Because in the film, what are these things eating? The only source of food they seem to have are human corpses. And since they're just ordinary people, you eat a human corpse, and within a couple of days, you die. And why aren't they attacking each other? Another defender of this film said that from a comic he picked up the information that the infected can smell each other. Now, the human beings do actually have pretty good senses of smell. Our olfactory senses are rarely tested by your average day-to-day life. But to be able to smell another human being and know that they are part or not part of some kind of clan is really beyond our capacity. Not to mention, this disease would have to create that ability, essentially rewiring the entire human brain within 20 seconds. Again, absurd. And then, near the end of the film, you encounter a military unit of British soldiers. They are sending out a broadcast over the radio waves to lure people in so that they can capture them and essentially turn the women into slaves so they can rebuild society. Now, I don't know if most people are aware of this fact, but a shortwave radio will pick up signals from the entire planet. I have one in my closet over there, a little hand crank one, with a very simple antenna, and I can listen to India or Russia. I live on the East Coast of the United States. A military radio allows two-way communication with the entire world. So these soldiers, depicted in the film, would not be isolated. They would be in constant communication with the continent, with the United States, with anyone they wanted to. There would be no panic. There would be no concern for the future. They would just be waiting for the copters to show up the next day with clean undies and breakfast. So again, this film absolutely makes no sense. The closest British film of this genre that I've seen that makes sense was Shaun of the Dead. Chaos for about 24 hours, then the military comes in, kicks butt, reestablishes the order, and then we begin to exploit the dead things. Because that's what humans do best. We exploit things. I'll be talking about 28 weeks later in an additional video.